Welcome back, everyone, to R2Kast number 49. We are one away from number 50. It's getting quite exciting. That is, well, the best part of 18 months we've been doing this. Today, another very interesting guest. Wallace, stop saying that. Say it every time. Well, I'm not going to say another non-interesting guest. I've just got to stop saying it's a very interesting guest. Today we have Kathryn. Kathryn, if you'd like to say hello.
Hello. Hello.
So, before we get on into another excellent episode of the R2Kast, I would just like to thank the sponsor for the show today, The Scottish Farmer. A weekly magazine highlighting everything you need to know regarding the Scottish agricultural industry, whether it's breaking news, events happening in the sector, market reports, classified ads, or just wholesome stories happening in the industry. The Scottish Farmer's got it for you. This is the biggest collaboration in history, I would say, because
oh wow,
yeah,
I'm
setting the stakes high. And the reason for that is a lot of you know the R2Kast is sponsored by the Scottish Farmer, and Kathryn is also a journalist for the Scottish Farmer. So hopefully, Ken, if you're listening, we will do you proud, which I'm very sure at least Kathryn will do you proud. Whether I will or not, that remains to be seen. So enough sort of trying to please the Scottish Farmer. Kathryn, could you tell us a bit about your background? Have you always sort of been in the farming industry, or is it new to you?
No, I've always been in it. I grew up on a farm. I still live at home with mum and dad on the farm. I'm from an arable farm, so we have about 480 acres here of cereal grounds, which we grow. I think it's about 400 of barley, which goes for malting, 140 acres of oats. We grow about 120 acres of timothy hay, and I think it's about 80 acres of permanent pasture. And then we rent a further 220. So we're pretty busy at home. And then Dad and my brother run a land drainage contracting business, which you could say is our kind of form of diversification, at fourth generation doing that. So yeah, no, I've always kind of lived and breathed agriculture. Mum came from a stock farm, so that's kind of where I got my love for livestock. So yeah, I've been born and brought up in it. It's never really left me. So yeah, no, that's kind of where I've come from.
So a bit of everything, really.
Yeah, of everything, yeah. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you say the total acreage was? Sorry.
So we own 480 acres, and we rent a further 220. We also contract help neighbours, for example, with hay and harvest, more or less anything. So and then we've got the drainage, which is more or less the main income for the farm and takes up a lot of the boys' time. So yeah, no, we're really busy at home, and I credit to my dad and brother that they run the entire thing. So yeah, good on them.
So you're not taking too much credit yourself? No?
Oh no, I'll help in the office here and there, and I've got my own flock of sheep as well at home, so that's my kind of bit at home. I've got a pedigree flock of blue Texels. I moved away from commercials about 2 years ago, and with my job I see a lot of breeds, and I can kind of pick out kind of the market popularity for them. And I saw blue Texels were quite a small niche market when I started, just growing in popularity. So I took a dive and invested in some, and by Christ, they've gotten a lot more popular and a lot more expensive since I've gone into them. So yeah, they're great. That's my wee hobby on the side of working and everything else.
Yeah. A lot of people in this industry just seem to have endless things.
It's endless, yeah, it is.
Work 2 full-time jobs, but I've got to have something else to do. You know?
I know, and they wonder why we're always stressed.
Exactly, if we were all just maniacs.
Always, I know, agreed.
Yeah, blue Texels rising in popularity was what I was going to say. Everyone talks about blue Texels nowadays.
They're great. They're a great breed, and not a lot of people knew about them. I only came across them through work, and when I started looking into them more, you come across other breeders. I think I was talking to the secretary at the weekend, and she says I think there's about 160 breeders in Scotland now, compared to I think it was about 40 about a year or 2 years ago in Scotland alone. So that shows how much they've grown. And they're really similar. Well, they're descendants of the Texel, white Texel. They come from the same place. It's just a genetic mutation of the black. They've just been crossing the black over the black, and it's now a breed in itself. So they're a brilliant option for producing fat lambs for the commercial people, because they still have the same attributes as a Texel. They're just a little bit thinner boned and smaller head, easier lambing. Everybody will have their opinions on it, but for me, I think they're a great alternative to the other continental breeds out there. And they do well in markets. I see the prime reports come through every week, and there's always blue Texels in the report, if not some of them top the sales. So yeah, they're becoming very popular, very popular.
Everyone's going to have an opinion on everything.
Oh yeah, exactly.
You know,
every breed that somebody's in, it's the best breeds. But it's what works for everybody. So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. What made you choose them originally? And did you see them somewhere, or did you just?
Well, I did a bit of investigation work in terms of breeders in Scotland who had done well at shows and sales. A lot of I'm very conscious, as a lot of pedigree people will be looking at the genetic side of them and buying. You always buy if you want to breed quality. I always believe you start off buying quality. So it was just through people I knew through work that I managed to find a few to start with that I bought privately, and that kind of just has been ticking over the past few years. So yeah, it's just been I say it was going to be a small hobby, but it's really addictive. And I was at work at the weekend in Carlisle and had no intention of buying anything, and came home with something. So it's really addictive. My bank account does not thank me for it.
That's got to be one of the dangers of your job, actually.
Oh, it's really dangerous. Sometimes I turn around and I'm like, I really don't want to go to these breed sales, because it's just an encouragement for me to buy something I don't need.
You'll know all the big names as well, from your journalist hat on as well. So you'll be dangerous.
Yeah, it's good. No, it's just it's pros and cons. But I mean, I'd buy another animal. It's just one more. Dad doesn't notice because they're all black. They all look the same.
How many have you got now then?
Oh God, now you're asking. So I've got female wise, I think I'll have about 13, 14 breeding females. I had about 8 lambs this year. Just bought a new tup there at the weekend. I'm planning on flushing a few of my girls this year. I've got a new one coming up. So it's just, I say I'm going to have this amount for tupping time, but come tupping time, I could probably guarantee I will have bought some more. But they are expensive. They're getting into it. I mean, it's hard to buy good stock now because they're all very expensive, and everybody's looking for the same breeding. So it just goes to show how popular they actually are.
Oh, absolutely. And do you use them yourself as terminal sires, or are you?
I've given I've rented out a few to some of my friends that have been looking for a tup. My uncle, he's not used my own tups, but he's used blue Texels over his commercials from a friend of mine, and they've done really well. He used them on his hogs just for an easier lambing. So yeah, no, a lot of people around here are actually starting to pick up and use them on commercial stock, and it's great to see. So much so that we're going to be doing a blue Texel feature in the paper, I'm pretty sure, in the back end of the year, which is going to be a first for us, which is really great to see for the society and the breeders.
Brilliant, good stuff, good stuff.
Oh, totally.
Scottish Farmer, everyone, you got to check it out.
Come back the end of the
year. You mentioned about the sort of mainly an arable farm. You mentioned the fair chunk of permanent pasture, and your mum was more stock based. You didn't. I don't think you actually said, but apart from the blue Texels, have you got a commercial flock at home as well?
Well, I had commercial. When I was younger, we had a lot of cattle. We had, I think it was just under, I think it was about 80 cattle we had. I was really young at the time. Limousin cross cattle, and it was just breeding fat cattle. But they were, to put it plainly, they were a commodity that we didn't need, as in, because we had that much arable ground, when it came to harvest time or sowing, we would have to stop what we were doing, regardless of it being great weather, to come home and feed cattle. and it was just a halter on us at our busiest times. So we got rid of the cattle, and I would like to think, having spoken to Dad about it a few times, that maybe if me and my brother were a wee bit older at the time, it would have been a different story and they could have kept the cattle, but it was just the decision we made at the time. So that's kind of why I fell on the kind of shoulders of my uncle, my mum's side of the family. They're completely livestock based. They've got 100, I think it's 160 cattle and about 800 to 900 sheep, and that's kind of where my love for livestock really grew from, was from my mum's side of the family. I've got to thank them for that.
And are you quite involved in the arable side as well?
I'm not hugely involved. No, we have my dad and my brother, as I say, run it full time. I've got a full time worker as well, and my mum's side of the family that I've just mentioned there, her brother's oldest two, their two boys, they're coming down to help at harvest time. So no, I'm busy enough with work that I don't really have that much time to help. But no, the boys run the full enterprise here at home, so good on them. Is
it all your own kit, or just bring
all our own yeah, we own everything. Yep, 100% ours.
Where is it user based? Sorry.
So we're about 10 minutes outside of Stirling. We're just between Falkirk and Stirling, just in that neck of the woods, almost 5 minutes from the Kincardine Bridge. So we're pretty central for everywhere, which is brilliant for us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm trying to think, this will be coming out July time, so it won't quite be harvest time. We're more in May at the minute.
Yeah.
Has fertiliser changes altered much?
Well, sorry, apologies for coughing all the time. We ordered, it was December last year when Dad was thinking about ordering fertiliser, and at that time it was sitting, I think he said it was about £210 a tonne, and at the time he was like, Jesus Christ, I'm not paying £210 a tonne for fertiliser. And then after a few conversations with neighbours who must have had a crystal ball and could see it coming, had said, oh, I think it could be rising. So he bit the bullet at the time and bought fertiliser in December, and oh my God, does he thank himself for doing that now, because it is a lot more expensive now. Fertiliser's been out and spread, and yeah, we're up to date.
No, good. It's about 760, I think, at the minute.
Oh, well, at the time, I was speaking to an agronomist a few months ago, and it was up over £1,000 a tonne. It was mad. It was bonkers, and that's where you've got to feel for a lot of these livestock and arable farmers, worried about if they're going to get their costs back after increased. Well, you've got fertiliser, you've got fuel, you've got feeding. It's just endless, isn't it?
It is a bit endless. And who was I speaking to? Crawford Niven, Crawford's farm on YouTube. R2Kast number 45, if you're interested. He was talking about, I've tried to remember all the numbers where I can. He was talking about the price of fertiliser. He was saying, crop prices have went up, but he said on average it's about 2.5 times, maybe 2.3 times, and fertiliser prices are knocking on 4.5 times. Yeah. So like there's this, it's very easy to look at it and think, oh, but it's in a good place, and for the most part, meat, whether that's lamb, pork, beef, is also up, but the sort of comparison.
It's difficult. It's a difficult one to explain to the general public. For example, I was speaking to some at Air Show a few weeks ago who were asking that they'd seen the record price stock coming through, and last weekend I was speaking to other people at shows as well, and you've got all these record price pedigree stock that are being portrayed on our social media and papers everywhere, which is fantastic for the farmers that are getting them, but it's so not the case across the boards. And you're trying to explain, look, we're really struggling with prices here. We've got costs are increasing constantly, and there's no guarantee for, like, we'll take livestock farmers, for example, that are producing just fat lambs and fat cattle. They're going to get those prices back at the end of the year. And it's difficult talking to folk that are generally really worried about the position they're going to be in, and are they going to have to reduce stock numbers, or are they going to have to rethink their system? It's concerning. It's really concerning. But you just have to say, look, well, if there's increased costs, something has to give, and you would hope that those prices are matched at the other end of the scale, because it's not viable having all these prices at one end going up and you're not matching that at the other end. So it's hard. It's really hard, a hard position for farmers to be in right now.
And let's not Brexit as well.
Oh, the B word, yeah. No, there's a lot of uncertainty with that as well. It's a shame. There's so much. See, when you think you've just gotten over one hurdle, something else pops along. So it's difficult, yeah.
Oh, yeah, life would be too easy if that wasn't the case.
I agree.
Yeah, no, it's and I should also say, if you're listening, Kathryn mentioned earlier, sorry for coughing. I think she coughed once, and I've been coughing the whole way. We both seem to be ill, and none of us really know why or what it is. But I was certainly ill over the weekend. You said you've been ill since your show, so
oh yeah, totally. I'm blaming it on your show.
Exactly. It's easy that. And yeah, if it's COVID, this is over Zoom, and also if you're listening to this, it was 2 months ago, so it doesn't matter.
We're still alive. We're fine.
Well, we don't know that at the minute, but we will. That's really not something I should joke about. So, from a family farm, Kathryn, did you ever at any point go study or anything like that?
Yeah. So I was schooled at Morrison's Academy in Crieff, which is a private school, and when it came, I stayed for the full 6 years, and then when it came to making a decision as to what I wanted to do, a lot of my friends through Young Farmers had been through SRUC, so I'd went to SRUC Edinburgh campus and had a look at the courses there. Really liked the agricultural course that was on offer. I thought it'll give me a kind of broad generalisation of the industry and a wee bit more detail than what I knew at the time, and it would open a few doors for me in the future. So that's what I did. I went and studied agriculture, and then I was never really had a clear idea, even at the end of my time at SRUC, what I wanted to do, which was difficult. A lot of people kind of had an idea in their heads what they wanted to go on and do, and I was a complete opposite. I had no idea what I wanted to go and do. And it was by complete fluke that one day, scrolling through Facebook, I came across an advert for the business reporter role under the Scottish Farmer. So I thought, well, if I don't get it, it's great interview practice for other jobs, prospective jobs. So I applied for it. And after a few interviews with the publisher, Darren, Ken, who's the editor, and Patsy, who's the business editor, I was invited to join the Scottish Farmer as a business reporter on probation for about 6 months. And then that was, well, it's almost 3 years I've been working there now, so it's flown by.
Unfortunately, all COVID until now.
Oh yeah, well, that's the thing. People always ask me, well, what's the Highland show like reporting? I have not reported a Highland show yet, because when I joined in August, so I just missed the 2019 Highland show, and then COVID hit. For the next few years we had the showcase, but that was not anything like the normal show. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this year. It'll be a full-blown show this year, but I'll be stressed, to say the least.
You're in for a treat. What was 2 weeks ago, I think.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. Just times 100.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely. And also, if you are at SRUC and listening to this, I don't just sell the Scottish Farmer. I also sell SRUC. But I just let Kathryn do it for me.
SRUC, it was brilliant. I loved my time at SRUC. It was fantastic.
Was that Edinburgh?
Edinburgh? Yeah. I mean, the people were great. It was great going from the high school that I was at. It was a very, as much as it's located in a village, in a town in the country, there wasn't a lot of farmers kids attending high school with me, so it was great to finally go to an educational organisation that was full of like-minded people, and that I could actually relate to. And I mean, all my best friends to this day are people that I went to SRUC with. We still keep in touch all the time, and it's a brilliant organisation for bringing folk together at a younger age, and it opened so many doors for me. it was just by fluke that I didn't really know what I wanted to do at the end of it. But no, having that qualification and being able to say you've been, it's been fantastic. So many great memories of SRUC.
That whole like-minded ideas.
Yeah, it's true though. It's very true, because I found it difficult. Not difficult. I had loads of friends at high school, but I found it difficult. It was really SRUC and Young Farmers that changed my social life in terms of mixing with people that were of the same cut of the cloth, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I think both of us are both. Well, we're both from farming backgrounds, both from farming communities, and that's great. But meeting the folk that are our age and sort of is saying how
totally.
No, I completely agree. Did you have would that be Bill Dingwall, Craig Davidson?
Yes, Bill Dingwall, Peter Kettlewell.
Peter,
all the usual ones. Scott. Oh my God, I can't. This is when I'm gonna not be able to remember names or insult somebody by saying the wrong name. That kind of generation of lecturers. That was my.
Did you have Craig Davidson? No.
No, I didn't.
No, that must have been just before Craig started.
Probably, yeah.
Well, Bill and Peter have both retired.
Oh well, I loved Bill. Bill was my favourite.
Great guy.
Bill just wanted to be one of the young ones that come out in the nights out and.
Yes, and do you know something really? I don't know if impressed me is the word, but Bill met me once for about half an hour, and he remembers everything about me 4 years on. And I was like, wow.
He does the same. He does the same with me. Yeah, I met him at a show, and then I went to SRUC. I went back to go and give a talk and met Bill, and he could remember meeting me on day one, and I cannot remember my first day at SRUC. I was that nervous, but no, I love Bill. He was fantastic. He's a great lecturer.
Nervous was not the issue. I thought it was going to be your first day. I thought it was going to be something more.
No, in the years following, I would agree with you, but on the first day, nervous was it.
Oh, I wish I could say that it was nervous for me. The whole not knowing what you want to do thing. Everyone gets so worked up about it. I mean, I had a master's degree, and I tell people this, and they don't believe me. I applied to be Santa Claus at the Buchanan shopping centre place. Like, not everyone knows. I had no idea at all.
It's a lot of pressure. Like when I left high school, a lot of my peers were certain, we're going to go and do law. I'm going to go and be a chef. I'm going to go and study this, and this. And I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I felt quite a lot of pressure not having an answer or not having a path laid out for my life, if that made sense. And I was only 17, 18 at the time. So it was a lot of pressure to be under to make a decision like that. But I'm really glad I went to SRUC in agriculture. The agriculture course gave me a few more years to figure out what I wanted to do, but I was still in the same position. But I mean, I guess it's just by chance, and what will be, and this is where I am today. So.
Oh, absolutely. And you said, let's say even if it doesn't work out with the Scottish Farm, the whole interview technique, I always like to say, that this whole podcast was sort of started for people that didn't know how to get into farming and didn't know what was involved in farming and all that. And taking things like an interview is a great thing. I teach CV writing and interview techniques and stuff and at work. Yeah. And one thing I tell everyone, and it gives folk a laugh, and maybe it will give you viewers a laugh. I can't believe I've done this. I genuinely can't believe I've done this. I went into an interview. I won't say what company with, SRUC, way before I ended up getting a job with them. And they said, would you like a glass of water? I was like, grand. So they passed me the water, or they passed me the cup, and they passed me the jug of water. And I started sort of pouring it. And the person was asking me a question. And I was focusing on what they were saying. The cup overflowed. And or the glass overflowed. And they were like, oh, Mr. Curry, a bit nervous. And I'm like, no, I just always give 110%. Like that. No idea what it came from. I've never heard that before. It's not like a
brilliant as well. That was very quick-witted.
I'm pretty certain that was the reason I didn't get the job.
I need to steal that for something. I don't know what, but I'll nick it.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know how you would use
In
that.
case I say something bad in this podcast and I get fired from a job, in the next interview I will be saying that.
Oh, it didn't work for me. It did not work for me. This is a tip not to do. Yeah, well, maybe it'll work for someone else.
Hopefully.
We mentioned your job throughout, Kathryn. Could you tell us a bit about your job, what it is exactly, and what's involved?
Yeah, so my official role is a business reporter, and there's sorry, apologies. There's a lot that kind of falls under that umbrella. So our main kind of tasks, we cover every show, every sale in Scotland and the north of England, all the big agricultural news in the livestock and arable world. Features is another aspect, so farm features. That can be anything from dairy, arable, a silage feature, livestock, anything. Lifestyle features on businesses. We do currently people that have read the paper, breeders and stockmen of our time, focusing on individual people in the industry and how they got to where they are. So we do cover a lot, and then your bog standard writing up sale reports, prime sales. So yeah, we cover quite a lot, and it sounds like a lot, but when you get into a habit of doing it, it's brilliant, and the people you meet through the work has been the biggest benefit for me. I'm a social butterfly, and to be able to be thrown in the deep end and meet loads of new people, socialise with folk at markets or at shows, it's fantastic. I'm just in my element with that.
It's good fun just doing that stuff, isn't it?
Oh, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant. You need to be very forthcoming in the job, not be scared to give somebody a phone, and also be quite challenging to get the answers you're looking for any controversial stories that we run as well. So you have to have a bit of a backbone and have your facts ready and question people, almost back them into a corner and get the answer you want for the readers, because you're ultimately trying to accommodate what the readers are wanting to see. So it has its challenges, but overall I love my job.
Do you have, you mentioned a few different features there, do you have a favourite thing to work on? Because personally, I mean, this isn't me saying this because the thing's sponsored by the Scottish Farmer. I never, ever remember a Scottish Farmer not being on our table. Yeah, it's just always there. And the one thing that I always read is the Stocksman of our time. I think that's a brilliant showcase. I think it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Do you have a favourite to work on?
So I've not done one in a wee while just because we've been that busy, but I run a Women in Agriculture column every so often, and that's been fantastic. I've had so many random ladies in agriculture from all walks of life that have been through lots of different career paths, stuff you wouldn't imagine, tell their story, and it's a great wee incentive to prove to other women or girls, teenage girls, young girls that are looking for a path into agriculture. Look, you don't have to be from a farm to come and do this, because there's women out there that have come from a normal bog standard city town background that have made their way into agriculture. So it's great to be able to tell that kind of side to it. And in terms of features, because I'm from an arable farm, I've not really had that much. I never had that much input in dairy farming growing up. I mean, we touched base on it through college, but nothing very intense. And when I joined the Scottish Farmer, obviously you were just thrown in the deep end. You had to learn about it and to be able to talk about it. And when I remember doing my first dairy feature, and I was absolutely terrified because dairy is really technical. Every aspect of dairy farming is extremely technical, from feeding, milking, AIing and genetics. Everything is really intense, and I found it quite overwhelming to begin with, because you're trying to learn on the job but also tell the farmer's story. So it's quite difficult when you're not 100% in the know of the sector that you're trying to talk about. But now, I mean, dairy farming is one of my favourite features to go and do because I love it. It's so interesting. I find it really interesting. And they all have the same aims and the same purpose, all these dairy farms, but I mean they're all running at different scales, different setups, different I just find it really, dairy farming for me is just really interesting. And I don't know if it's just because I never came from a dairy farming background. I'm pretty sure people that come from a dairy farm will totally disagree sometimes and be like, oh, we wish we were doing something else. But no, I find dairy farming really interesting, and it's been through my job. That's been a big benefit I've gotten out of my job, is being able to still learn on the job, and I'm still learning on the job. I mean, I did Scotgrass report this week. Obviously, when this comes out, that'll be months ago. But that in itself, talking about silage, valuing silage and stuff like that, I find really interesting as well. And it's stuff, if I wasn't doing what I was doing, I probably wouldn't actually learn much about, if that makes sense. Just because we've not got the stock anymore, so it's something we never really talk about. But the dairy farming is probably something I really enjoy writing about.
Dairy farming is sort of the closest, well, not the closest, it's the main use of sort of precision livestock agriculture we've got.
It is, yeah.
Whether it's Kamar's estrus detection, or it's robots, or it's rumen monitoring boluses, you know, there's so much going on. And were you at Scotgrass?
No, I was at Scotgrass, and it's obviously that's on a farm in Dumfries, and the farm is dairy based as well, it's really interesting. I find it quite, it's one of these things where if any of the general public read it, features on dairy farming, they'll probably be not blown away, but they'll be like, oh my god, well, we didn't realise actually how intense this kind of farming actually is. It's not like your sheep and your beef guys, they're running a completely different system to the dairy boys. So even being able to talk to the general public about dairy is something I think I get a kick out of it, almost.
And it's one of those ones that's so easy to be targeted from a welfare perspective.
Oh,
that
I know.
constant battle, and you know, Cowspiracy and Panorama.
This is I could talk about that for ages, and that's almost where the kind of RET side comes in, and why I got involved in RET is the education side, because the dairy industry is probably gets the main knock from the general public in terms of animal welfare, because it's so easy to look up on YouTube dairy. If typing in dairy farming, the first thing that'll come up is a dairy farm in the middle of America or some part of the world that is just nothing like the standards we have here. And I'm a huge advocate of having agriculture as a core subject in schools, because it's something that obviously I have the knowledge because of the background I was brought up in, but none of the kids that I went to school with had any idea about anything to do with farming. I mean, I've been on Royal Highland Education Trust run farm tours, and I've been on farm tours with teachers and classroom kids, and parents sometimes come on it as well, to dairy farms, for example. And it's astounding. People will not understand. It's astounding the little knowledge the adults have of farming. And if that is the standard of knowledge that they have, then it's a given that the kids are going to know even less and or nothing at all. And that's the scary part to me. And that's where I kind of think there's an onus on farmers to be proactive in trying to teach the general public about the industry that we work in. I know a lot of people are very closed off and don't want the negativity that comes with opening your doors to the general public, but in my opinion we need to do that in order to educate them, because if we don't do that, you can't blame them for looking up on YouTube random videos and then believing the first thing that they see, because they don't know any different.
And you might, I do actually plan to get into Rhett maybe in a bit more depth in a minute or two, but
Yeah.
on the scare to sort of open up the doors to the negativity is a true fear. I'm involved in Rhett as well, and I'm going to quote someone and say their name, and I'm sure he'd be happy with me saying it. A guy called Alistair Love, that's part of the Ayrshire and Arran Rhett, will say there is no better feeling on this planet than being the person bringing those kids onto your farm. And they brighten up. They just love it.
It's fantastic. Well, I'm an ambassador for the Rhett Forth Valley district, and 2 weeks ago we held our estate day. So we invite schools to come to our farm, and there's different activities set up for the kids. So we had sheep husbandry and sheepdogs. We had a wildlife expert there on wildlife crime. We had a forestry guy on woodland management. We had deer. We had the Scottish environmental folk came and did a talk on Scottish deer breeds and deer control and butchery, and the kids were like sponges. They just soaked up all this information, and they loved it. They loved getting out the classroom and learning practical skills, and even the teachers didn't know half the stuff we were telling them about. And then I went and did a few talks at my local primary school last week, and even that in itself, it's just, you get a total buzz out of teaching these kids because they're so enthusiastic. They want to learn about stuff like this because it's not a topic that they're familiar with unless they come from a farming background. And it's just great. It's really, I would encourage anybody to get involved with Rhett because it's a fantastic organisation for educating not even just kids, everybody, because adults learn just as much as the kids do on all these tours and farm visits and classroom talks.
No, I would back you on the telling anyone to get involved. Brilliant. Whatever level that involvement is, as a volunteer on farm, as someone speak, as committee member, as whatever. I did join the committee, and suddenly I was the vice chair of Ayrshire and Arran, but so how it goes.
Yeah, you make your way up through the ranks pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. Right, we have a new committee member. Would you like to be vice chair? Right, okay. How these things tend to happen, but no,
totally.
I'm glad to be involved in. But I said we'd come back to Rhett. What's the point? We're halfway through it. I did shout out to Kilpatrick Farm on the Isle of Arran. They've done, I think maybe the Scottish Farmer covered this, but it was before COVID, so it would be before your time. They did an open live lambing event. And that was just in the shed. A lot of people, like we're talking three figures of people there, and me and my partner at the time, you know about that, Kathryn.
Let's not embarrass me, please.
Maybe sounds weird to people listening. It's not.
It's not me, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I realised that sounded. We were in one shed, and another two people were in another shed. And the other shed was really quiet. We had 23 lambs in 2 hours, right? That was 10 twins and a triplet. That triplet at the end was 2 alive and 1 dead. And it was right at the end. There was 100 folk watching us. and I remember pulling out this dead lamb. I knew it was dead and sort of saying, shit, we never talked to this. Are we supposed to show this?
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I know. Do we talk about dead stock?
And the answer should be yes. But at that point, we didn't have a contingency. There's so many people watching us. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And Kilpatrick Farm's kids, David and Alison's kids, one of the wee girls, Cara, they're little demons. I love them to bits, but they're little demons. Went, Wallace, is that a dead lamb? Lamb killer, right?
Oh, no.
I am not joking, and I can't believe this. No, I can believe the kids joined in. There was adults joining in.
Oh my God.
But that's a bit of fun. It's a fun story to tell.
Yeah.
But when I was speaking to those people there, a parent of a 6-year-old, I would say they would be late 30s, 40, asked me straight in the eye, where does lamb come from? And I'm like, shit. That's insane. And not in any way.
It's almost explaining the birds and the bees, but with animals to children. Yeah, I know. And you don't know how much they know about stuff like that.
And you don't want to sort of offend by going too far. And I'm not in any way laughing at this guy saying that he didn't know this. It's just he didn't know it. And I think that's something we should be aware of and should should sort of focus on that. You mentioned the state day,
Mm-hmm.
and tomorrow and the next day, so as the 25th and 26th of May, Red Ayrshire and Arran are doing an estate day at Dumfries House. So I can't wait to see how that goes. And it sounds like yours was really successful as well.
Oh,
so,
it was fantastic. It was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah, good. I just actually still want to jump back just to the Scottish Farmer.
Yeah.
That you mentioned sort of you need quite a backbone for some of them because there's controversial stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is that quite tough? I would struggle with that, I think.
Yeah, it is quite tough. You have to be prepared. You're writing for a public newspaper, and you're not going to please everybody with some of the things that you come out with, and you'll know that about. And you have to be prepared for criticism ultimately, and it's difficult. I would say in the first year of me working as a journalist for the Scottish Farmer, I find it quite tough not arguing, but reasoning with people that didn't agree with an article I'd written about, or like anything really. But ultimately, like I say, you can't please everybody. You're going to get criticism constantly, and that's not even just within my job. That could be applied to anything. It can be difficult. It's hard to pinpoint an example of that specifically because sometimes we have quite a lot. But no, it's you just grow thick skin, and luckily I've got a thick skin myself, so I don't find it difficult anymore. You just kind of have to explain, look, this is what we wrote about, this is why we wrote it. If you don't like it, then we apologise, but it's what it is. Yeah, it's just one of those things.
I hope you've kicked your feet up and got comfy and enjoying another fantastic episode of the R2Kast with another really interesting guest. I would just like to quickly take another second to plug the sponsors of the show today, the Scottish Farmer, and I would strongly advise you to go out and pick one up this week and see even more of the fantastic people that are in our industry.
Are you writing an opinion, or is that not how it works?
No, you have to be unbiased. You do have to be unbiased. For example, I'll take the simplest example, farm features. So we do, God knows how many breeds we do farm features based on. And ultimately, you're trying to put that breed on a pedestal and highlight why it could be the best of the best, if that makes sense. And you have to remain unbiased, whether you are part of that breed or not. Like I am, if I was to write a blue texel feature, just because I have blue texels, I do have to remain unbiased and say, well, these might be the cons of having them and blah, 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 blah. But mainly you have to be unbiased. But there are times where, well, ultimately you're representing the farming community, and the problem that is affecting the farming community, then you're obviously going to be standing up for them. And there is maybe some stories where the rule of being unbiased might go astray, and a wee bit of opinion does sneak in there. But overall, on the whole, no, we're unbiased when it comes to writing, because it's ultimately about somebody else and not ourselves.
So the blue texel feature you're talking about at the back end of the year isn't going to be blue texels are the best by Kathryn.
I'll try maybe have a nicer head and a bit more subtle than that, but maybe along those lines.
You also mentioned feedback. Do you get a lot of feedback? Does that happen often?
We get a lot of negative feedback.
I was going to say, imagine that.
Yeah. I'm obviously like,
not because I think it's bad, because I think people just never.
Oh well, there's always, that's what I'm saying. There's always going to be something that somebody doesn't agree with, or such and such. But it's, you just obviously acknowledge the complaint, try and resolve it. If it's something like, oh, we've misspelled a name in a report, that's easily fixable. But there's always going to be somebody that doesn't agree with something that's been mentioned, and that's a given with any publication, really.
but a misspelled name hardly matters. I mean, how many pages in the Scottish Farmer? Is it the
same? But you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. The littlest mistakes are the things that people pick up on.
Got you.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
You must have pretty. I remember speaking to Claire. For those of you listening, we've also had someone else from the Scottish Farmer, now at Jane Craigie Marketing.
Yeah.
R2Kast number 18, I think. That's impressive. I'm impressed with myself. I was going to finish with saying, if that's correct. I think it is. Talking about this, and one thing she mentioned was obviously quite strict deadlines. It's a weekly release.
Yeah.
Is there a day that's like you're like, oh God, it's today?
Well, today is Tuesday and Wednesday is a print day, so tomorrow will be manic. Tomorrow's almost like my Friday, as in everything comes to a head. The paper goes to print on Wednesday night, everything, and we try and get everything away at the latest by 7 o'clock-ish. When there's late shows like Scott Sheep is next week, and Patsy, my colleague, will be attending that, and she'll try and get something in for the week paper. But obviously it's difficult when there's an event of that scale on the same day as the paper goes to print to get something in just for the readers, because you're ultimately trying to be the first person to report on all these things. And once you miss the boat for this week, it's an extra week until it gets out in paper form. It's different because you can get it online, but yeah, Wednesday's our print day. It's our busiest time of the week, so it's kind of when everything comes to a head and goes to the printers.
You must be like a proper rapid typer.
Up at 6 o'clock in the morning, ready to get going for the day. Just it goes quickly.
I can imagine.
It does, yeah.
So you won't be at Scottish Sheep, but
no, I won't be at Scottish Sheep. My colleague Patsy will be at Scottish Sheep. It's actually going to be a tough week next week. We've got Ken, my editor. Well, obviously by the time this comes out, this will be hopefully long gone in history, but he's away getting his knee done, so he's off this week and a bit of next week. I think I've got a colleague on holiday, somebody else is off, Patsy's away to Scottish Sheep, so there's only going to be maybe 2 of us trying to get the paper to print, so next week is going to be a bit manic, to say the least. But I'll work better under stress, so we'll be fine, we'll be grand.
Oh, good. Because some folk are made for it.
Yeah.
I have the least stressful job on this point, and I wouldn't manage with another. Ken, I know you listen sometimes. I hope your knee is better, because I can empathise with you as someone who's had 4 knee operations. They're a bugger of a thing.
Yeah, he's up resting right now, carrying on with him.
So are you in the office now, Kathryn?
No, well, just before COVID, we were in an office full time. And just due to some to the lease coming to an end on the building, we ended up working from home, and because of COVID that was confirmed, working from home full time. But we have an office out at Cambuslang, and we try and go out there every Tuesday just for us all to gather again, have a meeting on a Tuesday. It's nice to see each other in person because we're working from home constantly, and then we're at shows or sales at the weekend. But I mean, Ken's based in Dumfries, Patsy is in Crieff, Julie's in Biggar. We're all from different parts of the country, so it's good to see each other the one day a week that we get. But I mean, it's travel. It's hours that we could be spent working in a car almost, so that's kind of why we're working at home a wee bit more now.
Did the office used to be?
It used to be in the centre of Glasgow. Yeah.
Cineworld.
Yeah. Renfrew Street.
Yeah. No, I thought.
So, that was where it used to be, centre of Glasgow. But aye.
The one where it is now is next to like a sort of factory, isn't it? I can picture the head old Scottish farm.
That's where the printers are. Yeah.
Oh, that's printers. Right.
Yeah. So no, but that's where the office is as well.
Yeah. So
out at Cambuslang. Yeah, you'll see it on the motorway if you're passing.
That's right. Yeah, I thought you recognised.
Now you know where we are every Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. You've somehow made me sound weird again. I wasn't trying to work out your whereabouts. I was just trying to picture. God, this
just
is not
popping for a cup of tea on a Tuesday. You'll see us.
Exactly. Yeah, before the mental Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely sounds like you enjoy your job. It's not really.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I thrive in it. And I never had any journalistic background. I was just almost naturally good at English, and then I have the social butterfly aspect of my personality where I can go and speak to anybody. So it was almost like a nice wee combination of attributes that I had to get me the job. And I really couldn't see me doing anything else. Now looking back, it was just complete fluke that the job came up just as I was thinking of looking for something and then getting it. And here I am today. So 3 years down the line, it's flown in.
No, good. It's always good to hear that. And we've mentioned shows a few times. We'll currently be in July, but we are actually in May. How many shows have you been to so far this year, and how many do you think you'll get?
What have I been to? I was at Kilmore's, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I've been at about 5 or 6. I've been at 6 shows so far. I'll be drumming this weekend, and then we'll be fully booked because from kind of now onwards, there's going to be more than one show every weekend. So a lot of us will be trying to cover as many of those shows as possible. So I'll be kind of fully booked with shows from now until about August, September time. But I mean, I love it. It's brilliant getting back to shows. It's great seeing folk back to some sort of normality in regards to getting stock out and seeing shows in full swing again without any restrictions.
Will you find a way over to Aaron's show?
Aaron's show, hopefully we'll be back over to Aaron's show. Yep, we'll make a plan and get over. Now you've said that, I'll need to go on the show schedule. Like, right, we need to go to Aaron's show this year.
Good shout. And here, it's a good night after Aaron's show.
That's a good night. Oh, don't tell me that. I don't drink. I don't know what you're on about.
Sorry, yes, no, of course, silly me. I don't know why my brain went there.
People are going to think there's some sort of funny story, but there's not. It's just.
It's really not at all. It's the good thing about Aaron's show is I hear there's a fantastic person in charge of the mic work on the dog show.
Oh, really? Who would that be? The dog show. Is there a big turnout of dogs at Aaron's show?
Oh, hundreds.
Loads.
And
see, that's what I've picked up on in the past few shows. The biggest entry numbers at every show has been the dog classes.
And do you know the reason I'm the one in charge of doing the mic stuff? Because I don't like dogs.
Oh, oh, that's ironic.
Yeah, it's kind of in the same vein as, I'm vice chair of Red Ayrshire. It was kind of I missed a meeting, so now I'm in charge of that.
I mean, that's fair enough. That was that was bad crack missing the meeting.
There's two of us. My best mate Daniel and I have done it. We did it the last time the show happened 3 years ago. I broke my ankle, and it was all good fun. And so we've been broke back into it again. So I haven't even been in Arran for 6 months, and I'm doing it. Show season has been so long overdue.
Missed it. See the amount of people that are so. And do you know what? It's the older generation I really relate with. They love it. Even going to the weekly markets was their social thing of the week, to go and see their pals, and to have that stripped from them and not even have the option to do that throughout the past few years really took a turn. And I think a lot of people need to remember the the isolation struggle that farmers have had over the past few years. I know we've been very lucky as an industry to really be untouched by COVID. We could still carry on our normal day-to-day jobs, but without the shows and even just going to the market, not having those options, has taken its toll on a lot of people. And speaking to a few people at the more recent shows over the past few weeks, they've just said it's fantastic to get back, just to sit outside the beer tent and chat to your mates, or sit in the cattle lines and have a beer or a cup of tea, and just catch up with people you've not seen in years. And it's the older generation that have really been deprived of that, because we always knew we were going to get back to that stage. But it sounds very morbid, but when you're at that stage in your life, you don't know if you're ever going to get back to that kind of scenario. So it's been nice seeing them get back into the swing of show season.
It has been, and just to pull you up on something you said earlier, you said you don't drink, but the two things that were missed most was a pint at the show and a beer at the Catalans.
I will get slated. If any of my friends listen to this and they hear the statement, I don't drink, I will get absolutely slated for that.
It's all right. I have started a clips channel, so I will clip that one.
No footage of me drinking. I would probably lose my job.
No, not at all. The whole Mart thing's so true. I mean, so true. I am not one of those people that loves going to market, I'll be honest. But it, like you say, it's some people's church on the Sunday. It's some people's whatever. It's such an important part of their week.
See, if you go, if you just go to your local market, my local one is United Auctions in the Calais in Stirling, and even if you go on a Thursday when they do their prime sales, it's the same people every week.
Yeah.
And but that's their weekly outing. They might have nothing else in the diary other than going to UA's prime sale on a Thursday to see their pal and sit in a ring for 9-10 hours chatting about whatever. But that's what they enjoy doing. And when they never had that option during lockdown, you had to kind of feel for them. Well, what are they going to do? Because that was their go-to weekly social thing, and it's a lot of the younger generation, my generation, don't think about that because we can still drive to each other and go and see each other at the pub or anywhere really. But it's a different story for the older generation, and I felt sorry for them.
No, I think a lot of us did. You're right. A little bit hurt you say the younger generation and say yours and not ours.
Sorry. Ours.
Yeah, when you hit 25 and you're no longer in the 18 to 24 bracket, it's
right, okay, I'll stop offending you.
these 23-year-olds just, they think us 25-year-olds are old and done, and we missed the marks over COVID.
No, I apologize. Sorry, our generation. I will rephrase that. You can edit it and then put in our generation instead of mine.
No, I will not edit it. No, I will not. Obviously quite busy. You have got Scottish Farmer going on. You've got Rhett. You also have a lot of time for young farmers. Well, I don't know if you've got a lot of time. You managed to do young farmers.
Lots of time. Yes, I've got a lot of time.
Could you tell us, how long have you been in that? What Young Farmers Club are you actually in?
So I'm in Strathkelvin. Well, it's the three S's, which is Stirling, Strathkelvin and Strathendrick Young Farmers Club. And I've been in Young Farmers a good 8-9 years now. I joined in high school, and to put it quite simply, it's completely changed my life, I would say. I don't think I'd be in the position I am today if it wasn't for Young Farmers. It's such a great organisation, and even though it has some negative connotations when you say it to people that don't actually know what Young Farmers does for young people, in terms of they just think the drinking aspect of it, which in some cases you have to agree with.
Yeah.
But no, Young Farmers is a fantastic organisation. I've been secretary of my club through lockdown, which was a challenge in itself, and I'm now vice chairman. I'll be chairman next year in the anniversary year for the club, which is just an honour in itself. To be able to give something back to a club that's given me so much is something I'm really proud to even say I'll have accomplished after my chairman year. But it's such a, people don't realise how much it does for young people, and I use my brother as a perfect example. Before Young Farmers, my brother was a really timid, shy, quiet boy, and as soon as he was 4, Young Farmers just pushes you to the fore, and it kind of puts you in scenarios that you wouldn't ever think you'd be in. And I remember my first Young Farmers event was the club concert, and my club is quite renowned for their club concerts being funny and entertaining. And in my first year, I was told, right, you're going to be in a few sketches, and the first one you're going to do, you're going to be a floozy. And I didn't know what a floozy was at the age of 15. So I went home to mum and I said, oh, I'm in a sketch. And she said, what are you doing? I'm going to be a floozy. And she was like, do you know what that is? And I went, no. And she went, right, I think you should just go and search up what that means. And then when I found out, I was absolutely gobsmacked. I thought, there's no way I'm going to do that. There's no way I'm going to do that. But they forced you to get on with it, and my brother was the same. It just shoved you on a stage and forced you to be confident, and he's a totally different person than what he was when he first joined, and so are so many people that have done it. But they offer so many great things: international travel programs, speech making, there's stock judging, there's really is something for everyone. And we've had an astounding amount of members join in the past few years that are not from farming backgrounds, which is fantastic to see that it's actually reaching into the general public as an organisation, a youth organisation. It's one of the very few youth organisations that suit everybody, and well, it takes you right up until you're into your late 20s, 30s, and that's something you don't really come across very often with a youth organisation, and everybody mixes, and it's a great organisation. I couldn't speak any highly of Young Farmers than I have just there. It's given me a lot.
No, good. You know, I think we spoke off camera about this. Yeah, it was off camera, Kathryn. I'd never joined until this year. I'm 25, and it's lower this day I've joined, and I was involved in Young Farmers. Yeah, but fully getting involved. The things that it gives people from 14 to 27 is insane. I think it's 20, it's 30 if you can't join after 27. Is that right? But you can go. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I probably should have done it earlier. I haven't, fair, but I think I probably should have. You said the anniversary. What anniversary is it?
So for my club, it's a club anniversary, so it'll be 20 years. So Stirling, Strathendrick and Strathkelvin were all separate clubs within their own right, and then because they were so close in location to each other, they amalgamated and became the 3S's 20 years ago. So next year will be the 20th anniversary of the 3S's, but it's also special because it'll be 80 years of Strathkelvin, one of the what was an individual club. So it's going to be a big anniversary for us next year, and we're hoping to have a few anniversary events going on to give back to our members and our past members especially.
I mean, I know it's now the 3S's, but Strathkelvin at 80, that must be one of the oldest ones. Crossroads is not quite...
Yeah, Strathkelvin will be one of the oldest ones in the country. Yep, and you wouldn't think it because it's not well, it is a reasonable area, but you wouldn't know about it unless because it's now the 3S's, and everybody that thinks of Stirling or Strathkelvin, it's the 3S's. But yeah, it'll be 80 years of Strathkelvin Young Farmers, and Strathkelvin were a great club. I mean, they got best act at the West Area Talent Spot as an individual club, and they did drama, they did loads of stuff. They were a great club. It was just with lack of members across all three clubs as an individual, and because they're in close proximity to each other, it just made sense to amalgamate all three. And to be fair, it's benefited because we've got members from all areas now in the one club, and it's fantastic to see.
I mean, that's bang smack in the middle of war times 80 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So you almost wonder why. Why did that start then?
I know you would want. I don't know.
Quite interesting. Not here. When I originally contacted Kathryn about being on this, I kind of got in trouble from her because she said yes, and I did not respond. And I was...
Oh, it was a mistake.
I was not allowed to forget it. And no, it was not a mistake. It was not a mistake at all. Accidentally asked you on the podcast. That would be an awkward situation. I do not want this person, but I've asked them what do I do. I don't know if you've ever phoned the wrong person.
Well, no, you didn't even... That's not even what you did. You sent me the message for somebody else, and then you never responded to me.
Right, so I might as well just be honest. I've got like a sort of set up message, and I changed the name and a little bit to tweak things because I can't word writing the whole thing every time. I can't word copying every time. So yes, I have done that on a few occasions. I did send "Hello, Kathryn, how you doing?" or something like that to the other person. I can't remember who it was the same day. And I just remember you said that to me, and I was like, "Oh my god, I've sent it to wrong." That could have all been avoided. You can unsend a message on Instagram. I did not know this. I wish I'd known that.
You can, yep, of course you can. To be fair, it's I owed you a mistake. We're fine. We're even now. Even. Fair enough. Let's go with that. But you mentioned just before we started recording that you were quite nervous being on the other side of it, and it's certainly been a very interesting one. I always find it quite nerve-wracking interviewing an interviewer because I'm like, oh my god, they're going to judge me. Well, I was the complete opposite. Before this, I was saying to my mother, "What is there anything interesting about my life that I should know about?" And he was like, "I don't know what you've done. I don't think you're actually very interesting."
Oh, that was
nice. I know it put the fear of God into me. I said, I don't know what I'm going to actually talk about. I actually
notes so far.
Oh, full page, we're grand.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's got a full page.
Everyone's got a full page.
Yeah, unless you're one of those people I send the welcome to the R2Kast message that I didn't mean to, then you have a full page.
One of those ones.
But we do, however, I don't know if you've listened to the podcast, Kathryn, I don't imagine if you know, it's sponsored by the Scottish Farmer in the office, just constantly on the radio.
No, I have listened to them.
There is 2 questions that we finish every single one with. One being, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And 2 being, if you had any tips for folk coming into industry. Now, feel free to talk about agriculture, journalism, and even maybe even talk about young farmers if you want to invite folk to there. What would they be?
What was the first question again?
Yeah, no, maybe that one a bit long. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And in 2 minutes, you're going to ask me what was the second question.
Oh, God. In 5 years. Probably still working in the same job that I've got. I don't see myself ever or leaving anytime soon. And I hope, Ken, if you're listening, I hope you'll still have me in 5 years' time. No, I hopefully I'll still be in the same position I am today, if not taking on a wee bit more responsibility. In terms of the farm, the sheep side of it, hopefully I'll have a wee bit higher numbers in the sheep, invest a wee bit more into them. It's difficult to say because 5 years ago, I didn't think I'd be in this position in terms of involvement in young farmers and involvement with RET and the job that I've got. It's difficult to portray where you're going to be. I hope I'm still heavily involved within the industry and have some sort of a voice for those that don't have a voice within the industry. And if anybody has any ideas for what they think would be a great forthcoming column or article for the paper, then you're more than welcome to get in touch. But no, hopefully still heavily involved within the industry in some capacity, and young farmers, I'll still be heavily supporting that, even out with being an office bearer. Hopefully I'll maybe make it into a wee bit more of the West area side of it, the district and regional side of it, because they do a lot of work in supporting the individual clubs through everything, especially recently through COVID. So yeah, it's difficult to pinpoint exactly where I'll be, but hopefully I'll still be in the vicinity somewhere in the background.
It's a very hard question, really.
Yeah, well, now I'm just thinking, I ask these questions to all my people, my interviewees, and I'm now rethinking, actually, I don't like being on the opposite end of this. I'll maybe have to think of a different question.
It's one that my favourite answer to hear is someone doing something similar that they are, because they're all happy doing it. Now, when I filmed with Crawford in the 45th episode, I said, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And at the end, I was like, is there anything else you'd quite like to cover, sort of thing? And he was like, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, where do you see yourself? That's I'm going to take a leaf out of Crawford's. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
Refer to R2Kast number 45. If you want me to answer it, I can answer it. I mean, the answer is very similar to yours. Not at the Scottish Farmer. I'm still doing what I'm doing.
I mean, you're more than welcome to join if you want.
If you're looking for someone that knows nothing about what they're talking about, great. No, here, I love lecturing. I love working with Rhett, and I love doing a podcast. So yeah.
Fair.
I've got loads of free time, so I'll probably fit something else in as well. But yeah, it's good fun at the minute, and that's the point.
Okay. Yeah.
If you had any tips for folk coming in to any industry that you're in, what do you think they'd be?
This is whether this will be controversial. Don't listen to every bit of advice that people give you, because everybody's going to give you their own personal opinion on what you're doing. I would say speak to the people you trust most in terms of what you're looking to get into. Agriculture is a fantastic industry to get involved in, and there are so many sectors of it. There's so many, too many to even go through. There's so many sectors of the industry, and they're all very different to each other. It doesn't have to be farming directly. It can be law. It can be markets. There's literally too many to go through and talk about. But just find work, get experience. Experience is probably your biggest friend. That's what I found. Even if you want to go and get a bit of experience on a farm or go to different organisations, see what floats your boat, what fits you, and what you want to do, and just do what you go with your gut. Don't listen to too many people's advice and opinion as to what you should do. Do whatever feels right for yourself. And there are plenty of people out there that would happily guide you in each sector, but it's a fantastic industry to get involved in. I couldn't speak any more highly of it. I'm really passionate about the agricultural industry, and obviously my job and the background that I come from. But just do whatever makes you happy. Really, yeah. Can't really ask for much more than that.
Good tips. Yeah, definitely. What makes you happy has got to be the main one. It's got to be. We all sort of chase something at some point, that's money or whatever. But I think that
as cliche as it sounds, it's pointless doing something you're not happy with. It's just, what's the point in it? In my opinion, if you're not happy, do something about it, change it, and find something that does make you happy. I mean, you want to be in a job where you don't feel like you're getting up and it's a hassle having to go to your work. You want to enjoy your work and feel like you're making a difference, or that's at least what I like getting out of my job. So yeah, it's as cliche as it sounds, but you only have one life, so yeah, do whatever makes you happy.
You only have one life. Once you hit the 25,
a bit positivity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly. Can't go wrong with positivity.
You can not, and it's been great to sort of hear your stories, hear your intentions, and hear sort of your advice.
Whether they're interesting or not is a different thing, but it's been fantastic. I'm really honoured to have been asked. I didn't think I met the criteria, if I'm honest.
Well, how long do you think we've spoke for?
Oh, I don't know, actually. I don't know.
Well, it's an hour and a quarter.
An hour and a quarter since the get-go, or for the interview?
No, since we hit record.
Oh, really? Bloody hell.
Yeah. So it flies by.
It does fly by.
And it flew by for me, so obviously it was quite interesting. It was interesting.
I've been rambling on, though. I'm a talker.
A podcast would be pretty boring without that. Maybe one day I should just film one for an hour of me just sitting here like.
Just your face.
But I don't think I'll go down well.
I'm not saying anything.
There's been enough offence tonight.
Enough offence, yes.
No, very good. It's been a pleasure. I hope you've enjoyed yourself, certainly as much as I have. Good fun to have you on. And yeah, next week for you viewers is number 50. And I just want to do a quick little thank you to everyone that's listened, to everyone that's sort of whatever, certainly in May time at the minute, as you know, I sort of film things ahead. We are, I think yesterday we hit 50,000 views on the podcast, having hit 10,000 4 weeks ago. So it's been,
wow.
yeah, it's been pretty insane. I don't really know what happened. It just sort of blew up, and thought I'd strike while iron's hot and hire a publisher. So not a publisher, a promoter, and it's went really well. So thank you very much to everyone that listens, and we shall see you next week for number 50. And thank you very much to yourself, Kathryn, for coming on.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Thanks for having me.
Well, that's it. Another R2Kast finished. Another agricultural mind opened up. And I would just like to say that getting these guests on board, it does take time, and it always has done. But I've now went weekly, and with that comes even more time required. And I would just like to finally thank once more the Scottish Farmer for sponsoring the show and making that much more possible. Please be sure to get in touch if you've any ideas of people you'd like to see on the podcast, or maybe ideas you have for me presenting better, because I definitely do require that. See you in the next one.